2022, a year of tenured filmmakers messing with convention and debut visionaries making their mark. Audiences return to theaters for action and great emotion, powerful stories demanding the biggest screen possible. Nicole Kidman would be proud. The BFB writers have selected their favorite movies out of the tens of hundreds they saw this past year. Here are their choices for the best films of 2022.
Decision to Live is a forbidden love story. A policeman, a suspect, without knowing and without saying it, both are looking for the same thing. They are looking for someone who, looking into their eyes, speaks the same language, even if nothing is said. But is this love possible? Decision to Live is always a fascinating film to follow, leaving us tense without knowing what might come next. There are three distinct acts, and all three work perfectly, being visible the care that Chan-wook puts into each of its elements, helped by perfect cinematography and outstanding editing. Park Hae-il, as the detective, presents us with a character that is quite easy to identify with, an observer who always thinks twice before acting. Still, much of the credit has to be once again given to the director who, through unique filmmaking options, seems to put us completely inside the character's head. But if Park Hae-il is at an outstanding level, the star is Tang Wei as the widow. She's enigmatic and convincing, and it's perfectly understandable how anyone could fall in love with her. If at first her innocence asks us for tenderness, it is when she begins to reveal her entire personality that she becomes even more seductive and mysterious. This is clearly a Park Chan-wook film. He balances technicality with a good story as only very few can do it. With a more mature proposal and not as extreme as we are used to see from him, he brings us a great thriller and an intense romance, being my favorite film of the year.
Aftersun is one of the year's most beautiful and heart-wrenching films, and an extraordinary feature-length debut by director Charlotte Wells. Loosely autobiographical, Aftersun follows a summer vacation in Turkey taken by 11-year-old Sophie and her 31-year-old father Callum, played with warm pathos by Frankie Corio and Paul Mescal respectively. We watch Sophie's coming-of-age arc unfold alongside Callum's quiet yet profound struggles, their relationship close in many ways yet distant in many others. Framing this trip are the reflections of an adult Sophie, grieving the parts of her father that she knew and the parts that she couldn't have known, scouring her memories for clues and comfort. Aftersun shines in evoking the haze and imperfection of memory, supplemented by snippets of camcorder footage which are wholesome yet haunting at the same time. Instead of presenting a clearly driven narrative, Wells weaves a loose, lifelike tapestry of moments, allowing the viewer to find their own emotional truth within it. I thought of the endless summer days spent at my grandparents' pool, the naivete of grade school romance, discovering that my words could hurt my parents, realizing that their adult problems would someday be mine. The magic of Aftersun builds slowly, almost imperceptibly, until you reach the credits and find yourself breathless. If you let it cast its spell on you, a powerful experience awaits.
The mini-series format allows for robust storytelling, gradually revealed mysteries, and extensive attention to character. Mike Flanagan's dark drama, Midnight Mass, is an idyllic example. You know the passion a character has put into their project when the story surfaces in their other work before it even exists. See 2016's Hush. Flanagan's story is set on a small island fishing village steeped in a religious tradition that is slowly turning into fanaticism. Riley, a former local newly released from prison, and an unfamiliar priest named Father Paul arrive on Crockett Island on the same day. The core of the show's drama and mysteries lie in what each brings with him. Flanagan, serving as co-writer on each of the 7 episodes, ponderously explores questions of ethics and metaphysics through rich dialogue from self-aware characters. The question that keeps the audience guessing is what constitutes a miracle? What's in the background when the wonders of healing mix with supernatural horrors? Is the monstrous source of the mystifying occurrences benevolent, or could something more sinister be at work? The show's answers to some questions are clear. The real intelligence behind the philosophy, however, is in the courage of the creator to leave the gray areas gray. Expect to find masterfully casted and adeptly performed characters with relatability and depth. Midnight Mass is the best binge of the year for keeping you on the edge of your seat and enriching your brain and heart.
2022 was a great year to be named Lydia. Well, sort of. Todd Field emerged from his 16-year filmmaking limbo to unleash Tar, a movie which I not only consider to be the best theater experience of the year, but quite possibly the last decade. Cate Blanchett plays Lydia Tar, a world-class EGOT-winning musician and conductor currently working at the Berlin Philharmonic. Her prose is precise and cosmopolitan, and she uses her extensive knowledge of the world to smooth her admirers and belittle her enemies. But like any great star, she's in for a rude awakening of the extent of her power. As personal and professional matters begin to collide, Tar is haunted by a tragedy surrounding a former student and resurfacing skeletons in the closet. The beauty of Tar lies mainly in Blanchett's performance, her demonstrated eloquence, carrying dialogue-heavy long takes with all the potency of a classically trained theater actor, which she is. Yet, although Field never removes his focus from these hefty disturbance and poison-tongued rampages, it's the moment he chooses to cut away that count the most. Tar's universe collapsing, all the accidents and instances of weakness that contribute to her downfall, the ghosts, real or not, that flitter in and out of frame. It's bone-chilling anti-drama that keeps you on the edge of your seat, letting you fill in the gaps for yourself. Lydia Tar is no role model, but she's a grand figure, and her Arctic portrait is the stuff of legends.
Every once in a while, the many multiverses align and place me in the right seat in the right theater, unaware that I am about to see exactly the right movie. A cinematic experience so personally resonant that it seems to have been created just to reach me in exactly the way I needed to be reached at that very moment. In May of 2022, such a rare alignment occurred when I sat down for director duo Daniels' bold and beautiful film, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I had hit rock bottom just over a year before seeing the film, and I had spent the time since picking up the pieces of who I was. What little I could get a hold of seemed dangerously close to slipping away, sucked into some black hole, or perhaps an all-consuming bagel. I was depressed, jaded, and cynical. I didn't know myself, and my loved ones could feel it. I was facing conflict in my closest relationships like I had never known. At times, I felt utterly alone. And, as if all that weren't bad enough, in that state, my creativity, my sense of play, among the dearest things to me, died. I had become Jobu Tupaki. Of course, I didn't know that name at the time. I had yet to meet the Wang family, anchored by Michelle Yeoh's ferocious immigrant matriarch, Evelyn. I had yet to break my heart over the pain of her unwaveringly supportive husband, Waymond, played with such disarming sensitivity by Ke Huy Quan. And perhaps most importantly, I had yet to relate with horrifying, cathartic recognition to Stephanie Hsu's portrayal of Joy, their struggling queer daughter turned multi-dimensional supervillain. Their journey into the pain and the endless possibility of this world and the transcendent power of love healed me. In that theater, I cried like I have almost never cried before, blubbering with abandon on and off for the film's final act. Everyone involved came to this project with their hearts on their sleeves and a willingness to play in exactly the same way they might have as children. This unbridled freedom lends the film not only its hilarious comedy and visual wonder, but also its radical empathy. Everything Everywhere All at Once is the perfect antidote to the woes of our time, a time when it feels easier than ever to feel the weight of everything, everywhere, and all at once. A time when what we may all need more than anything is to let go of what could have been, take a look at what is, and love it with all we've got.